Hello folks, my name's Mono, and I'm a Platinum Vel'Koz main on the North American server. I'm here to tell you about 5.22 and how it affects Vel'Koz directly, but mostly indirectly, since Vel'Koz doesn't get a lot of changes. So obviously this is the big preseason patch with a lot of changes going into it, and there's a lot of changes that will affect Vel'Koz. Two really impactful changes that I will cover in separate videos are the Rift Herald and the new Masteries, for I don't feel like I know enough about them and I don't want this video to be too long as well. So let's look into the most important changes Riot added to League as a whole, and that's the Marksmen Rework. So with this Marksmen Rework, ADs still have the same general playstyle. They still need peel and they still need farm to afford their items. What Riot changed are some of the reworked AD carries have a more unique playstyle and are more fun to play in general. They will definitely be strong, but it's not going to affect the way Vel'Koz plays against them. The only thing I see maybe is a more higher priority to kill them, which they were pretty high priority beforehand. The only solo lane marksmen I really see after these changes are going to be Ezreal, Kog'Maw, and Quinn. Ezreal and Kog we saw a good amount beforehand. We saw AP Ezreal, we saw AD Ezreal, and AP and AD Kog. Actually, we didn't see AD Kog, but I think there could be a potential for AD Kog going in the mid lane. Maybe some more realistic mid lane changes are going to be Quinn, because she has a lot of roaming potential and she has a lot of map presence with her new ultimate, which has pretty much no cooldown. She could just fly around the map and kill everyone. But I don't think Vel'Koz is going to struggle against these ADs, usually because they have a hard time harassing him, while Vel'Koz can have long range poke and harass them back. For the next notable change in patch 5.22 are the AD item changes. Essentially what Riot did is they evaluated the gold efficiency of all the items in the game and determined that AP items were more gold efficient than AD items. Now I'm not going to discuss all the AD items that got changed, but it's fair to determine that AD items will now be stronger than AP, which we'll investigate a bit later. But with this Marksman rework and with the AD champions being stronger, along with the recent trend of more pro players playing assassin champions, that an assassin meta might be established in this patch. And guess who counters Vel'Koz? You guessed it, assassins. Now, an assassin that received a no-soul buff is Yasuo, and this all comes from indirect buffs from the AD items and a specific keystone mastery. Essentially, Vel'Koz has troubles landing his spells on Yasuo due to the high mobility of his kit and his wind wall. And the item changes will allow Yasuo to spike earlier mid-game, while the AP item changes will make it harder for Vel'Koz to keep up. Specifically, the buff to crit chance on Zeal, Static Shift, and Cloak of Agility give Yasuo the 50% crit chance he needs to reach for the 100% his passive grants him, and allows him to spike earlier than before, essentially. Alongside the new Keystone Mastery, Warlord's Bloodlust gives Yasuo a lot of sustain in lane and makes him even stronger. So, Yasuo, one of Vel'Koz's hardest lane opponents, is now a lot stronger, and will most likely see him being played more often, which makes Vel'Koz mains like me pretty sad. The news gets worse though. Other assassins that Vel'Koz struggles against, like Talon and Zed, also gain a pretty large benefit to the AD items, so it's likely we'll see them picked more often, which will make things harder for Vel'Koz. Well, it seems like the AD item changes really favored AD champions. What's all this banter about the AP item nerfs? Well, if you want to take away the main idea from this video is that the result of some AP item stats being nerfed and most AP items costing more, mages in general are weaker and require more resources. Seeing this graphic of items Vel'Koz typically builds, I'm not going to discuss every single item, but more highlight which ones really put Vel'Koz at a disadvantage. Taking a look at these changes, you could see that Zhonya's Hourglass really got shafted from this change. 500 more gold to buy an Hourglass is a huge nerf, but not because of the gold increase or the 5-less armor. It's a huge nerf because mages in general are going to build Hourglass if the assassin meta does become relevant, and it's going to take mages longer to build this item while other AD mid laners are spiking earlier due to the AD item changes. Well, that really blows for Vel'Koz and any squishy AP champions in general, but the bad news doesn't stop there. The gold increase on other vital AP items will make mages take longer to hit their item power spikes. For example, before this patch you will generally see Vel'Koz have one item complete plus Sork Boots, and depending how the game is going, another item or two in the process of being built at 20 minutes or so. With the new changes, the same build path would take significantly longer and would require more resources to achieve the same item power spikes than before. The one shining light in this circumstance is that Riot states that they are not for sure going to keep the way the IP item prices are set for now. They will be carefully analyzing how much this price increase is going to affect the meta. As for the other noteworthy changes, there are quite a bit. One of the new ones that are pretty vital is the added amount of global gold. During a game, you automatically earn gold for time passing. Riot wanted to have AD and some AP items cost more, so they decided to slightly increase the amount of gold you earned over time. In my opinion, this is a smart change, but I don't think we'll notice it that much while we're playing. Another change is teleport. The cooldown on turret cast has changed back to the old 300 seconds, and on top of that, they slapped an extra half second on the channel time. I'm sure all bot laners are jumping for joy now that they don't have to deal with a 5-man gank happening every 5 minutes or so, and now we can truly say goodbye to the TP meta that dominated Season 2015. As for Vel'Koz, it was a personal preference on running TP on your mid laner. I know some challenger Vel'Koz mains, they ran TP to keep up with their opponents using TP as well, but I never really felt the need to actually run TP. I prioritize 2 defensive summoner spells on Vel'Koz, one of them always being Flash and the other one being Barrier, Exhaust, or Cleanse. But now we really shouldn't see much of TP, except for maybe top lane, I'm not really sure. The next one is that Vel'Koz got an increase to his base mana while toning down his mana growth stat. This was the case for a lot of other mana relying champions, and this is more to compensate the removal of mana potions, not really an impactful change here. And speaking of item removals, Riot decided to take out a bunch of items, some of those being Twin Shadows and Stealth Wards. Now the Twin Shadows one I'm slightly upset about, to be honest. Twin Shadows was actually a pretty strong item on Vel'Koz. It was a good item on support Vel'Koz, giving him a bit more utility from the active while also giving him movement speed and a little bit of CDR. I thought this item would be used for a substitute for Luden's Echo on mid lane Vel'Koz if you prioritize utility and CDR and are willing to sacrifice a bit of AP and movement speed. I'm not alone in this conclusion, for Wolfie, considered to be the best Vel'Koz player in North America, often built Twin Shadows as one of his first items. Now, the old active for Twin Shadows is now Unfrost Queen's Claim. I don't really know why Riot removed the item, it's a little bit unknown, but I guess we'll see what they do from here. The Stealth Ward change is not extremely impactful either because of the new wage trinkets are allowing players to regen wards as time goes on, allowing 2 charges that have a cooldown. Sort of the way old upgrade yellow trinket worked, which I really liked. Well, that's all the changes that I found most influential on Vel'Koz. There's a ton of other changes on the 5.22 patch notes, and I would really advise you guys to look at that. I think it's really important if you haven't already. So be on the lookout for more content coming soon, so make sure you subscribe and give the video a like. Hopefully you guys are all enjoying the preseason, and I will see you guys later. Take care.